Welcome to That Entrepreneur Life, a podcast about entrepreneurship that takes you from idea to launch and beyond. Each week, your hosts, Andrew Lees and 𝗫𝗏𝗄𝗏 discuss different business topics aimed at adding value to any entrepreneur's journey.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of That Entrepreneur Life. I'm 𝗫𝗏𝗄𝗏 and here with our special guest, Kenny Harper. Welcome to the show, brother.
Glad to be here and glad to be rocking this show.
Kenny, man, it's an honor to have you on the show today. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for booking, and I'm excited to talk to you today. But before we launch into everything, man, can you quickly share with our audience who you are and what you're all about?
All right. So my name is Kenny Harper, and I am the Chief Growth Strategist and partner at 𝘠𝗶𝗏𝗆. 𝘠𝗶𝗏𝗆 works with business owners to amplify their business so they're more efficient and effective, increasing sales and profitability overall. And we do this by helping not just with a fad of the day, but by implementing proven systems and strategies that can create predictable, consistent results.
I love it, man. It's basically a rinse and repeat process. If you can find what works, no reason to recreate the wheel, or if you created the wheel, hey, why not jump on the bandwagon and let us roll with the actual effective processes that you've put in place, my man. So Kenny, as a certified profit growth advisor and business coach, man, can you take our audience and take us back to when your entrepreneurial journey started and what it is about entrepreneurship specifically that gets you motivated and gets you fired up every day?
So this is great. So if you notice the trend in my name, 𝘠𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, or 𝘠𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗆, it has this connection to music. And that's really kind of where I started my journey, is playing in rock and roll bands, right? And at the time when I started, it's about 15 plus years ago, getting older, man. I was playing shows and we needed somebody to promote our band. We needed the websites, we needed the flyers, we needed things of that nature. And so that's what really kind of got me into this field of learning how to market, right? But then I ran into a problem with that first passion, which is just connecting with people, feeling energy from the crowd. Is I had the passion, but I didn't have the knowledge of business to make that passion profitable. And so if you're tuning in, if you've ever read the book, Michael Gerber, The E-Myth, that was me. I had that entrepreneurial seizure.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing this at this company, I'm just going to start doing this now for myself and just become profitable. But it's what you don't know that can hurt you. And you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a business owner myself, I never fault another business owner for not knowing something. Because as a digital marketing agency owner, I always find myself educating somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Because I think it really comes in the process of, hey, people think business is easy, right? They just open the doors or paint a pretty picture, whatever. They build it, they'll come, and it doesn't happen that way, right? And so it takes people like you and me to educate people along the way in that process, mm-hmm. so they can understand again and learn the things that they don't know. And it's not, when you approach it, it's not insulting their intelligence, but it's really educating them and helping them learn along the way so they can be better, business owners and better individuals overall.
I love it. I love that mission. And that's really kind of very ties in similar to the mission that I've evolved into is, it was painful to kind of come to that decision and having to put down the music because I couldn't find a way to make it profitable. I was paying basically to play, paying just enough money to pay for the strings and the gas and all that equipment. And it occurred to me I had to shift my brilliance. And that's really kind of what got me into, maybe I can get paid by other businesses to help them grow their business.
Right.
And using some of the tools and resources I learned. But you know what? I still didn't know what I didn't know.
Exactly.
And so I took the scenic routes, like what I like to tell people, of kind of learning, there is a way to really get focus and clarity on the most important things that can help you maximize your business and doing it in the right order. If you do that first, everything else will become easier.
Yeah.
And commonly, that's what I see a lot of people are challenged with that spot. They have a passion, they have a business that they're trying to move forward, but they really haven't taken the time to calculate success and they're putting a lot of time and energy in areas that may be productive, may be helpful, but they aren't the right place to focus on now. That will give them the best traction.
No, I agree. And I think a lot of individuals, business owners themselves, struggle with identifying what success looks like, right? What even does that term mean to them as a business owner? Because as a business owner, man, success might be, freedom, right? Financial freedom, creating a life to where I don't have to work a 9 to 5, or, I'm not grinding it out every day in this vacation and spending time with my family. But then there's some people that are dedicated to the process and to the hustle, and that's all they want to do, right? Because they know the work they're putting in up front comes with that sacrifice, right? To an extent, like the hours, the just hustle and grind and learning the things that they don't know, so they can put themselves in a position to thrive and succeed. And so, again, I really think as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, or somebody that, just owns a small business or any type of business, you have to define success and what that means to you specifically, because success for some people's money. Success is, just getting by for some people. So I really think like really breaking it down and peeling back the onion and really, pulling back the layers and identifying what it means to you is very important. But I really think in a lot of cases, again, it's one of those things. It's like, I got a good idea, let's go. And you don't worry about all the other stuff. And then you get caught up with just making it by, or not being able, just making enough to buy your strings, right, as a musician or something. Right. And so then you have to like reset and then pivot like you did, which is brilliant, because you found a niche or a niche that basically fits your strengths. And I mean, I'm still sure that you have that passion for music, right? Because I see I see the pictures, man, and you can tell, and you can see how that relates, right? And so my thing is kudos to you, man, and I love what you're doing, brother.
I appreciate that. It's kind of shifting into, all right, so you made a good point right there. So one thing I always like asking, it's in my first book, Amplify Your Business, The Rockstar Professional's Guide to Marketing Success, which is available on Amazon. The first thing I ask people is, what is your bold vision? And I've met business owners that make a lot of revenue. Maybe they make a lot of income, but they hate their lives and they don't like it. Right. And why would you build something that you really hate? Life is short. Decades fly by. And if you're in your early 20s and you're saying, it's not going that fast, just wait a minute. Exactly. You'll be jumping before you know it. I remember people saying that and being like, yeah, old timer. And then they're like, oh God, that's me now.
Yeah.
But it flies by. So you really got to give yourself permission to say, am I using something that uses my unique gifts, follows my true passion, and serves a higher purpose? And whatever that success looks like to you, as long as you're loving what you're doing, you're making the impact you want to make, and you're living the lifestyle you want to live. To me, and my version of life, that's what success is. If that means you run a small company and you make enough to be able to afford taking your family out to dinner once a week, that's what that is.
Right.
That's your version of success. If it means building a global empire and having operations around the country, that's your version of success. If it means contributing to a nonprofit, whatever it is, you got to define what that is. And if you begin with the end in mind, then you're going to be that much more focused on achieving the right goal. And today, what I'd like to share with people who are tuning in are the 5 profit drivers that if you really take some time to put these into action, I kid you not, this will dramatically change the trajectory of what is possible for your business. And if you serve other businesses, it can help them as well. This has not only changed my business, it's changed those I serve. And I've seen people really double their profitability in a relatively short amount of time, simply by getting a different perspective on where to put their time and attention.
Right. No, I 100% agree, man. And you bring that up, and it's a perfect segue to my next question, right? Because as entrepreneurs, we're always looking for some quick and effective strategies, right? That we can use or implement inside of our businesses, or do something like, after I listen to this podcast episode, I can immediately go and implement to help increase my business effectiveness or profits at the end of the day. And I know your proven framework that you just mentioned and some effective profit growth strategies that you've cultivated over the years, that you have. Can you walk us through your 5 quick and effective strategies so we can focus on optimizing our time, increasing our sales, and growing our profits?
Yes, be glad to do that. Here's what I want to entertain for people who are tuning in. Some of these things you may have heard before. And if you're listening in, you may not see the visuals, but if you're watching the video, maybe you'll see them. But I want you to think about this for a moment, because people say, oh, I know this. Oh, I've heard this. That's great.
Right.
There's what you know, there's what you do, and there's the results that you're looking to achieve. If you don't have the results that you're looking to achieve, it doesn't matter what you know. You've got a gap, and therefore you need to work on bridging that gap. So I see more people shoot themselves in the foot saying, oh, I kind of already know this. Teenagers say that. Oh, I know this. Don't be a teenager.
Right.
Realize you don't know what you don't know. And if you're not getting the result you want, and you realize maybe there's an opportunity for improvement, come at this with an open mind and think about, how can I put this and get better results in my business by implementing these and maybe increasing the effectiveness of what I'm doing. So if you're kind of doing something already, that's great. But if you can improve it,
sure,
that's even better. So with that being said, I'm going to start off by just quickly giving an overview of the 5 profit drivers, right? So the 5 profit drivers, if you start tracking these now in your business, which I would say a good 80 to 90% of small business owners typically don't track these. I talk to them all the time. They may have a general idea, but they're not tracking them, writing them down and measuring them. Then you're missing the opportunity. As soon as you start tracking them, you'll start watching them improve, right? So the first one, number 1, is leads and referrals. So how many leads are you generating, and how many referrals are you generating on a regular basis? The second is how many is your average sales conversion rate. Okay. So it's how many of those leads and referrals convert into actual paying customer. The number 3 is the average number of transactions per customer. So you have a customer, that's great. And then you have the number of transactions. And then number 4 is the average price per transaction. So there's the quantity and there's kind of like the quality. And then last but not least is your profit margin. Because at the end of the day, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you get to keep. So those 5 profit drivers, if you just started, just one thing you took away from this podcast was, okay, I need to track those in my business. I need to know where I'm at each week on those coming in so I can get a baseline. And then once you know where you're at, you put strategies in place to increase them and create a goal saying, hey, this is where I'm at. And if I can increase this even by a small percentage, the impact that has when you increase each of those by a small percentage, you could practically double your profits from increasing each of those by 10%. It's a very small effort to go 10%. It's not necessarily easy depending on where you're at, but it's relatively small. And what people tend to do is they tend to work a lot harder than they need to because they're focusing on busy work. They're not taking the time to step back, see where they're at, and then be really strategic on improving in each of those areas. So if you're tuning in, I just want you to think about that for yourself. Do you have those metrics written down? Do you know exactly where they're at? And if so, do you have goals set to improve them? And are you taking the actions to improve them, right? Think about that. And then now that'll get your feedback on that. And then we'll segue into what are the actual actions that you do to improve each of those areas.
And I'm at fault for this as well when I first started my business. And I think as small business owners or just business owners in general, and the ones I interact with, because I mention small business because that's typically what I work with. And then when you look at them from the outside and you ask them these questions about knowing the lifetime value of a client or a customer, what is your average transaction? Because when I'm doing digital marketing, right, I'm thinking about, paid advertising, whatever they need to help improve and what it is, what success means to them. And without knowing any of that stuff that you just mentioned, right? How do you gauge success? It's one of those things, again, that ties back into our earlier conversation. You don't know what you don't know. But as a business owner, it's your business to know that specific thing, right? You have a product, okay? It's selling for this. Okay. And is it something that's going to sell one time, or is it something like if you own a furniture store, right? I have a bedroom, I have a living room. There's so many different options there that you just can't forget a customer just because they came and bought a couch, right? Because they still might need a bedroom set, man. And you're like, okay, well, I got that sale. It's over with, brother. Like, I'm good. No, you still got to retarget. You need to still remarket. You need to still come at them, because again, the lifetime value of that client or that customer can be so much more along the path, especially if you have courses. If you're somebody that's in digital products, you have courses, you have upsells, downsells, all these different products that you might have. You just cannot write them off because you sell them one thing, right? Unless it's that one product, unless you only have one product, you're a one man band and you just, that's it. That's what you were shooting for, man. And that's success to you, like, woo, right? I mean,
and even at that, like, because I appreciate everything you just said, but even at that, like, I was talking with a plumber. Plumber had been in business for 30 years. And he says, things are kind of like going down a little bit. I'm like, well, do you market to your existing customers? Right. And then he says, no, why would I market to them? I do plumbing. They're not, what am I going to market to them? Like a sale on, clogged toilets? And like, well, no, but
right.
Think for a moment that there's other plumbers in your market and they're marketing to your customers. And if you're not touching base with your existing customers, then you may think that they remember who did their plumbing. But in reality, if you're busy, everyone who did all your appliance work, your AC, your roof. Can you remember all that typically? Most people don't.
Right.
When I bought my air conditioning for my house the first time.
Right, not at all.
By two, right. When I did it the first time, they came out, they completely redid the air conditioning, right? And then I needed to get it serviced because, you need to get serviced. We live in Florida. It's very hot. And then did I remember exactly who it was?
Right.
No, I had someone give me a coupon for a service. And so I called the service person. They didn't make it clear for us either. So the next time I needed it, I searched around on Google and found someone who could do it. So I ended up having like 3 or 4 different companies work on that service. Versus if the first one would have done a really good job of keeping in touch, knowing that I would have needed to have the service. And then when I did need the new one, they would have got that business. I couldn't even remember who the first one was.
Yeah. Well, it's all about fostering that relationship, right? I mean, again, the touch points, reaching out to them and cultivating a relationship, again, that makes people remember you. Like if you just disappear, you service them one time, you disappear, man, right? It might have been memorable to them at the one time because, like, if you ask me about it, I might be like, it was great experience. But then if you don't remember who they were, you might not, when you go look for them again, they might have changed their name. They might, have different information. So you're like, oh no, that's not that business. They moved, right? Or they're at this location and now there's somebody else there. And then now you're confused. Now you're reaching out and somebody else is landing that business when it's very important. You move, you have to let people know, man. Like if you do anything, let them know. Keep in touch. A plumber, come on, man. There's so many different services. You don't just go turn a wrench on the faucet, right? There's so many different things that you can provide as a plumber. So that one is a pretty good story right there.
And you're thinking of real estate professionals who can get so focused on the next sale that they forget to market to their last sales. You think of even one time I suggested, because someone asked me the question, who doesn't need to do this? I was like, what about like somebody who sells caskets or, a funeral parlor? I mean, but then, what about the family? What about, that relationship's going to have other people are going to die probably in the future. It's morbid, but it's true. Long story short, is underlying that sometimes we know these things, but again, it's not what we know. It's, are we really being proactive in that area? So if they're hiring a company like yours and they're like, oh, we did a campaign and we got some leads, that's great. But are you looking at now ways that you can market and elevate those relationships? And sometimes the companies can get in tunnel vision and get so forward focused because we do want to grow and acquire new business that we don't take the time to really make sure that we're leveraging all the different areas of the business from the past as well.
No, I agree 100%. So, like, Kenny, with your current mission, man, to double the size of 10,000 businesses nationwide, right, by implementing effective strategy and proven systems. I mean, what inspired you during your journey to help empower businesses of all backgrounds, to help them through like breakthrough and experience new levels of success? Because I mean, you know, whether you've experienced that stuff in your business or not, I mean, obviously you have to be able to push other businesses to that point. But I mean, what is the thing that cultivated that process, and what really led you to that point?
I guess, you know, I'm a very empathetic person, and I'm actually getting emotional even just thinking about it, because, you know, I've had friends in my life that I've lost on my journey for different reasons. And sometimes I've seen people that I really was gunning for want to succeed, and they too didn't know what they didn't know. And that dream, that star that they had that got them excited, just dwindled and fell. And that was the case for me with my music career.
Right.
And then as I stepped on into the next edge of the career, first I was working for the companies as, you know, different advertising agencies, being hired as freelancer, things of that nature. And then when I stepped off to start my own business, I almost had a repeat of the first one, where I was going off and doing web design, and I could help people build their websites, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And I hadn't learned that still. I just learned how to do a different trade, but I didn't learn how to run a business and really scale it, make it profitable. And, you know, I'm kind of like a softie for helping the underdog. So when I'd see people maybe that couldn't afford my services, I'd work with them and to the point where it's like, now I'm taking on burden myself. Or, you know, working with people that maybe they were good people, but they just didn't have their stuff together. So it's like, if you're not going to help them succeed if they don't have their stuff together. So long story short, when I got in that spot in my business where I felt like, all right, this is not good. I had a nice job where I was getting paid really good at the advertising agency. I had a 401k, I had vacation, and now I'm married with a kid on the way and a house payment. And I stepped off to do my own thing. And now I feel like I'm working harder, making less money.
Right.
And I don't know how to get out of it. And I only see like just continually working hard and hustle and push. And that was painful. And I really just felt like, all right, I'm going to have to let this star dwindle once again. And maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I can't bring this to life and make this happen. But it's then when I realized, you know, I need someone to help give me some guidance. I need some structure to help figure out what I need to be doing to help me be more efficient and effective, to fill in those gaps. Because I'm capable, I'm smart and talented, I can get these things done. But if you're missing an ingredient, if you're missing a step, it doesn't matter how talented you are, you don't know what you don't know, and you're going to be working harder than needed.
Yeah.
So by bringing it home, it was kind of going through that experience and seeing other people that have something really awesome they're trying to bring into the world, but just not knowing how to put it out there or grow it or get it past that idea phase. Or maybe they already got past the idea phase and they're doing pretty good right now, and they just can't get past the block. They think I'm
right.
really good. I've been in business for 20 years and I've got several locations, but why can't I get past this hump? Because they've gotten tunnel vision. Yeah. And seeing that and feeling it and wanting to do something about it, that really got me to step into where I'm stepping in today.
Nice. That's great, man. And yeah, I can relate to that. Spinning your wheels, basically, right? And yeah, your business might still be surviving. You might still, be making money. But what does success look like for you? And what is your business? What do you want from it? And that's the thing. I think you have to sit and ask those questions. And then also seek out help when you don't know what you don't know, right? Like you just mentioned. I mean, when you get stuck and then you see the second star that, is starting to dwindle for you, and you're starting to question yourself, you're starting to get that, self-imposter syndrome, like, why me? Why am I doing this? Or you start doubting yourself, like, I'm not cut out for this. But like at the end of the day, like you just said, you're smart enough, you're intelligent enough, you have the motivate. Like, we have it in us. We just have to find that way to make that star bright again, right? Especially if it starts dying off. I'm not saying that, that's going to work for everything that you do, right? Like, but if you find your zone of genius, if you find out, I think everything happens for a reason. I think you are where you are because you're meant to be at that spot, right? From the decisions that you make, from the things that you do when you wake up in the morning and the actions that you take. I mean, come on. I mean, things happen. People talk about luck. I really believe in the law of attraction. I think like nothing comes easy, man, right? You got to go out there. You got to bust your ass. You got to make things happen. You just can't sit there and snap your fingers and things just happen for you, right? I'm not saying you can't build a process to get to that point ever, right, but you have to take actions to get to that point, right? So I can relate to you on all fronts of that, man. And it was great. And thanks for sharing that. What seemed like an emotional point for you, my man.
Yeah, I can remember this is a couple years back, and there was a CPA that I was working with, and she's a little more my senior, and she had an amazing career, and she had bought a larger firm, and she was making pretty good revenue, and really was great at her job. She knew her trade, and she didn't have a need for more clients, but she was slowly but surely going down a downward spiral and not even realizing it. But she was having trouble with her marriage. She was having trouble with her finances coming in. She was having trouble with working 7 hours, not 7 hours, 6-7 days a week, 10-hour days, and her health started going down. She was putting on weight, and she was just getting stressed out. And I was introduced to her and just started talking with her. And what happens to everyone is sometimes we get into this spot where there's so much things coming at us, and we start getting overwhelmed that it can kind of get us like paralysis by analysis. And so we don't take that action, and we could be very capable people, but we're human, and we can get in our own way.
For sure.
And there's a stigma when it comes down to coaching or getting help with your business and paying someone to help you do things that you know. There's a stigma. Some people are like, oh, I know this. Why would I pay someone to help me do it? I just need to do it. That's great that you can say that. But people know if they want to lose weight, they need to eat less and exercise more. Granted, there's some exceptions, but in general, we know what we need to do to get in better shape. Right. But the majority of the country is overweight.
Right.
Not because they don't know what to do, but because we're humans.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need someone to help us get those things that we know how to do and help hold us accountable and help us create some new habits so we can start getting on a different path. And it's challenging sometimes to admit that. I know from myself, taking the scenic route, that was a challenge for me because I had so much success in the advertising agency and doing all these other things, seeing all these other people and their successes, that I was thinking, I don't need to pay for this. I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
And some people can, and some people have.
Yeah.
But there's no shame in having someone help you achieve different results. Investing in yourself, in your potentiality, and your strength is the best investment you can ever make.
I couldn't agree more, man. I think the vulnerability is there at all times. And so, but like what you just said is a great point. Not looking at it that it's not a cry for help. It's more of investing in yourself, right? I mean, and in some cases, it might be a cry for help because, again, when you're stuck, you're getting frustrated. But at the end of the day, it's investing in yourselves. And I think if you stop investing in yourself as an entrepreneur, business owner, you're failing yourself, right? You have to invest in things. And I couldn't agree more when it comes to the shiny. When you're saying some of these things, I'm thinking about the shiny object syndrome, right? That we all get. Analysis by paralysis. It's just like I'm analyzing everything and I know what I need to do. But sometimes it takes that kick in the butt from somebody that's actually on the other end of, not yourself, not you looking at yourself, but somebody else that's able to look at you, somebody that cares about whether you're successful or not. And they say, look, man, tighten up, or they give you the hard truth, and they can analyze what you're going through, and they can say, I've been there, or give you the life lessons that they've learned. There's no shame in that game, man, especially when you're seeking out advice from somebody that's successful, right? It's different when you're like, okay, I'm going to go talk to this guy that's never done anything in his life. He's still sitting on this bridge, and you just like, let me go. I'm going to swallow my pride. I'm going to go talk to this guy. But at the end of the day, he might have never done anything in his life, but he might be the most important person you talk to because he might have been there.
Right.
So it's like sometimes, man, you just got to lower it and become vulnerable and lower that wall and just walk through it, man, or walk around it, open that door and just let your guard down and just say, look, man, I have every ingredient here to be successful, but I'm missing something, whether it's taking action, whatever it is. But just look, I need somebody to look at this objectively, somebody that can tell me the hard truth, somebody that just can be blunt, straightforward with me, whatever it is. Some people don't like bluntness. I'm a person that responds to that. So I would want a coach or somebody that's like, hey, dude, tighten up. Like, this is what you need to do, right? I'm cool with that. Some people you need to be more tactful with, have a more approach or be more caressing with them, however you want to verbalize that. But, you just got to find those individuals. And you also, as a coach, got to know how that person responds, right? Is it through criticism? Is it through bluntness? Is it through whatever? But like as a coach, you're going to be the person that helps identify that to help them get past that obstacle so they can be successful.
I'm glad you mentioned that, just that vulnerability thing, because I had the first realm of, kind of getting past the hump. And then I was like, all right, now my business is growing and I'm doing good. But then, you ever watch the Rocky movies?
Right? Oh, for sure.
So what happens typically with a lot of business owners, they achieve, boom, boom, now I'm the champion. Yeah. And then they let their guard down. Whereas Rocky 3 comes in, if you haven't seen the movie, this is where the first movie, Rocky just goes the distance with Apollo Creed. Yeah. And that's what all he was able to do that time, but he just went the distance, and that was amazing for him. The second movie, he wins the championship. Yeah. So yay for him. But the third movie, he kind of loses the eye of the tiger, and the challenger comes up with the eye of the tiger, and they knock him on his butt. That was Mr. T.
Yeah.
And a couple years back, I did have, I have one business partner now, but I did have another one, and it ended up not working out. And that particular partnership not working out caused the first step back in my business. And it was a punch to the gut.
All right.
Because I watched certain business relationships go backwards. I watched, we went from being a focused team of 3 leaders down to 2. So just having less manpower was a challenge. Seeing the revenue go backwards for the first time in the career. So just everything. And, we all have egos, even if you're not super egos, we all have egos.
Yep.
And by going through that experience for a while there, I was stuck because my ego was getting in my own way of thinking, I'm just going to plow through this and I'm just going to, find a way to make things work. And I didn't take the time to really process, what I went through that was actually, somewhat of a business trauma. I was kind of like going through a divorce. It wasn't fun.
Right.
And if people who are tuning in ever have went through like a partnership that didn't work out or a relationship that kind of went sour, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a fun thing. And when that's tied to something that you're heavily invested in, you can't avoid. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Long story short, wrapping that up, it was being able to be vulnerable and say, you know what, I need some help here. I need help getting past this.
Right.
And being open to saying, I know I'm a business coach. I know I'm a marketing advisor. I know I'm, have strengths and skills, but I can't get past this point. And I'm going to be vulnerable and be open and share that and get some help with it because I'm spinning my wheels. And what I found out, it's kind of going in a completely different subject, but what I found out was the way I was trying to push through it without like processing it was only feeding it.
Right.
So sometimes even in business, if people are looking to grow, increase their profits by avoiding working through it and working smarter and finding a way to be more efficient and effective. Sometimes people will work harder to try to get better results, but that only makes things more challenging because that's not what they needed to do. They needed to work in a different way. And if they don't know that, then they won't ever find that new way.
100%. I mean, with that said, through your entrepreneurial journey, from the highs and lows that you've experienced over the years, what has been the most difficult thing about being an entrepreneur?
I think for me is once I found out what I needed to be doing and know is that I didn't realize how about myself and how I operate and finding the structure that helps me really leverage that superpower. So for example, I'm a visionary. And so I see a lot of different things. I get a lot of different ideas, almost to the point where it can become too much. Nike's saying, just do it. That's not good advice for everyone. If you get too many ideas and you're finding like, I've got like 30 or 40 different things that I can't possibly do all at once, and they're not getting the traction that I want because I'm trying to do too many things, then it's working against you. And I needed to figure that out about myself. And for a while I was starting to be like, what the hell is wrong with me? So I know this is a problem, but why do I still keep on finding myself there? And realizing, okay, you have visionary tendencies. And for you, what you need to do is apply something like the 4 disciplines of execution and track things really religiously. So you stay really focused on moving the most important things that keep you forward. And then having someone to help hold you accountable so you stay focused. And as I shifted and just realized that, all right, I feel like I'm kind of spinning. I was always growing, always moving. But as soon as I started shifting how I approach things, I started seeing the transformation in my business. So that, not seeing that prior was one of the biggest challenges because I was kind of like, just like I was mentioning it a little bit back, I was working a lot harder than I needed to and not getting quite the result. So now, a few years later, I work a fraction of the time, but I get much better results. To me, that's a success, and I enjoy it more.
Yeah,
it's working smarter, not harder, and sometimes you need fresh perspective to see that.
No, I love that you bring that up because it is very important, right? For somebody to, or for you to take a step back. Like you said, we all have egos, and sometimes that gets in our way. And then we're like, we know what we're doing. We're working too hard. That's in most cases, you're working too hard, right? And then taking that step back and finding it and finding the process that makes you more effective, or finding something that keeps you moving and focus on the things that are going to move the needle for you. Dude, that's all the battle is. And we spin our wheels not moving the needle on stuff that one is not in our zone of genius, 2, something that might be a good idea, but again, we're causing our own distraction. We're causing our own fumble, so we can't move the ball down the field, right? And you're just like, dude, stop, like wear gloves or whatever it is. Next time, run with the ball. Just don't stand there. But man, we all get there, and that's a point for all entrepreneurs and business owners, that you gotta find processes and implement those. And there's so many things out there. You just got go and push through the clutter, because there's going to be so many shiny objects that get in your way while you're searching for the right answers, that you got to know to look past that but you got to reach out and start your research somewhere, right? Or find the books and read and find things that, okay, this process is going to help me along the way, and trust it. And I think, again, it's almost like working out, right? We want to see immediate results, and that's not always the case. Just because you start doing a push-up today doesn't mean you're going to be doing 100, or you're going to have those pecs, right, to show off at the beach, man. You just started, brother. You have to do this for 90 days before this even becomes something that's really, viewable to anybody outside. But when you take your shirt off, right?
That's it. It's keeping the thought of like it's a workout. Speaking of which, books, I do have a free book offer, and I have a URL that I'll promote. I'll share the one with you so we can put it in the notes.
For sure.
But it's findmyprofits.com, findmyprofits.com, and you can get a free copy of my book, Amplified Business Breakthroughs, How I Find 45K in 45 Minutes. And
nice.
That really is by implementing and doing ideation, leveraging those 5 profit drivers I mentioned earlier. Speaking of which, I'll give a strategy for each one of them. So if you're thinking about what can I be putting into action, well, this is what you can be putting into action. So we're going to start off real quick. These will be quick. So if you're listening in or watching, take notes, write them down, and then don't try to do all 5 at the same time. Can't do 5 things at the same time. Pick one and put it into action. And if you're already doing it, find a way that you can improve it even by a small percentage. It's the continually improving in small percentage. That's how you get better and better. Keep on amplifying, right? So the first one, it's like lead generation. How do you increase your leads or referrals? Is to always have an offer. Seems pretty basic, but it's commonly overlooked.
Yeah.
So if people are connecting on social media, or they're tuning into a podcast, or you're connecting with someone one-to-one, is have an offer of something that is going to move the relationship forward. Now, what I'm saying here is offer. It doesn't necessarily mean have a sales offer. It doesn't mean always try to sell something. There's a time and a place for that. And that should be when the relationship is moved forward enough to have that conversation. But have some sort of offer to get people to move a step forward. So just taking one step forward and making sure that that's part of what you're doing in your efforts. The different touch points that you connect with your audience can be really helpful. That's one. And if you already have an offer, what is something that you could do to improve it, even by a small percentage, to make it more effective, right? So that was number one, is lead generation, thinking about where the number of leads you have now and increasing that by a small percentage. Number two, it's sales conversion, how you can increase the number of leads to turn into paying customers. Now, this is going to be pretty simple, but it's commonly overlooked. Have a follow-up process. A follow-up process. I can't tell you how. It's so simple, but still today, even though people know that they need to be following up with more people, do not give the proper follow-up in order to achieve the sale.
Right.
They'll maybe follow up. I got a drip campaign. It blasts out 5 emails in like 5 days. And then if no one does anything, that's it. Or I put them in my monthly newsletter that just kind of like is a touch point, but it doesn't really follow up to move the relationship forward.
Right.
If you know who your ideal customers are and give them time and attention, or your ideal prospects are, make sure that you have a documented follow-up process, reach back out and move that relationship forward. Chances are, you're listening to this now, chances are if you did this and really mapped it out and found a way to improve it even by a small percentage, you could have one of the most successful quarters that you've ever had in your business in this upcoming quarter. Chances are you're like a majority of everyone else and you're not putting the most attention to the people who've already raised their hands. I've been guilty of this in the past, and I can always improve. That's the second one. Number three, transactions. Strategy to increase the number of transactions per customer. It's very basic, but again, there's knowing, doing, and getting the result. It's really having a strong cross-sell strategy. You've had customers come to you and they purchase something, and there's other things that you can offer that they haven't purchased. There's a chance that you can get the business of them purchasing or doing business with you for some other product or service. Everyone gets so forward focused on the next customer, they forget to take the time to assess their current customers and think, what could they do? What offers would be most helpful? And if they just implemented a percentage of their past customers to take a cross sell, they could have a good chunk of business come in at no cost. Number four, increasing the prices per transaction. So this is making sure that you have an upsell or a bundle. You mentioned this earlier, although some people may say, hey, I kind of know that. Is it consistently being done in your sales process? I've talked to a lot of people that know that they should be doing it. Maybe even they have an offer. Are you offering it? Not all the time. Why not? Well, they didn't say anything about those other things that they needed. You're not trying to force it on anyone. You can offer it and let them know that it's there. Quick story. One time I was having a consultation with a consultant. She did consults with dentists. She came in and asked to have some help with an email campaign, some modifications on the scripts. In my mind, I'm like, that's maybe a few $100s or something. I don't know. But I went ahead and walked her through my process and looking at different opportunities of how she could amplify her business. And then I shared with her, I do have a 90-day accelerator program. It's $10,000. I walked her through what that included. I said, and I know this is why you didn't come in. This is not why you came in, but I just at least wanted to share with you, what's available so that if in the future you have that need, or if you know somebody who does, then you know. I honestly wasn't trying to push that on her. I honestly didn't think she would have went for it, but she said, that sounds awesome. When can we start? I said, well, geez, I'm really glad I followed my own advice there. I wasn't even trying, but I just thought I would share that with her and turn that, small little sale into a good opportunity. And if she wasn't ready to do it then, or it wasn't a fit, then that's okay. But if I never mentioned it, it may never happen. All right. So the last strategy is the strategy number 5 of the 5 profit drivers. Again, you can get these and more strategies at findmyprofits.com and a free copy of my book. This is to rate your prospects, and have a different strategy and system for following up with each of them. And why that can help increase your profits is because that increases your efficiency and effectiveness. If you know you have ideal customers, your A customers, you can afford to give them more time, maybe send them more collateral, maybe invest in sending them like a shock and awe box or something to get on their radar and gain their business. If you know and take the time to identify that not all clients or prospects, customers are created equally, and give different attention to different clients and customers, that can be really powerful for your business. So those are the 5. And again, I suggest not trying to do all, pick one, and then really take an action to implement it or optimize it for your business.
Love it, man. Kenny, I think that's a wrap for this episode, brother. But I want to thank you for taking the time of your day and joining me and adding value to what we're doing on our podcast.
You got it, my friend. Thank you.
Like I just said, my man, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you all so much for listening to That Entrepreneur Life. To learn more about what Kenny is working on, check out 𝘠𝗶𝗄𝗏.rocks. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe to your podcast. Make sure you go to the link that we're going to drop that he mentioned during the episode and go grab his free book. And don't forget to download our free ebook about the success mindset at thatentrepreneurlife.com. Thanks for continuing to support what we do as entrepreneurs, and don't forget to join us next week for another episode of That Entrepreneur Life.
Thanks for listening to That Entrepreneur Life podcast. Be sure to visit thatentrepreneurlife.com to join the conversation, access our show notes, and discover our fantastic bonus content. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode as we continue to add value. Until next time.